I'm at a camp here in Maine. You can see the wallpaper. Been traveling all day, and wanted to share some good advice, especially since the state tournaments are over or finishing up. We just had 6 of our freshmen make the high school state finals, and all these kids have trained with us for at least 5 years, some of them since they were 8 years old. I feel like there's 4 keys to greatness in wrestling. Number 1, wrestling is too big. You know, if you look at it, there's one way to shoot a free throw. If you're 8 years old, you should be using the same technique that LeBron James uses. Wrestling is so huge. There's literally thousands of wrestling techniques. So from a technique standpoint, I would say this. Get a drill plan. It takes about 3 pages. How do I compete with the best college wrestlers in the nation? Tape that to the wall. Drill that hundreds and hundreds of times. Thousands of times, actually. And that's number 1. The second key to becoming great in wrestling is to focus on positioning. If you can grasp this concept, wrestling gets very easy. I would rather my guys and girls score 5 takedowns in practice and give up 0 than to see them score 20 takedowns in practice and give up 15. And then sometimes people say, well, I want them to score 20 takedowns in practice and give up 0. Well, yeah, but that's not going to happen right now. You're going to have to win some close matches to win your first state title. Sorry, you don't see very many college national champions falling their way through the tournament, right? I don't know if it's even ever happened, but a few times. So, you know, let's not go there. Let's just stick with the reality, right? I would rather win 1-0 than 13-12. And I'm talking about there's only probably 2 or 3 guys in the state that can have a decent match with me once you get to be elite. You're never going to be elite if you're someone who, what we call win big, lose big. You might beat the state champion on a dual meet Thursday, and then Saturday morning you lose to a JV kid, and you're wondering why. Well, it's because your positioning isn't on par. You're probably, you know, you win 9-8, you win 13-12. You might, you know, lose 14-12, or you lose 8-7. 15 points. It's going to happen on occasion. But 15 points scored in a 6-minute high school match, or worse yet, a 4-minute youth wrestling match, that's not very good. So there's 5 really good power positions that you want to become great in. And, you know, that's probably time for a different video. But being able to go a 2-point match with everyone in America should be your key, and you do that through positioning. And that has an added benefit of helping your confidence. When I know that I can go toe-to-toe with everybody in America or my state, if my goals are at the state level, and I know I can go a 2-point match with everyone in the state, I'm a takedown away from being the state champ. Now, sure, there may be 8 guys in the state that I can only beat by 1 or 2 points, or who could beat me by 1 or 2 points. But at least I'm part of the conversation. We talk about this at our camps. Let's say I'll be in a gym tomorrow, and there'll be 2 wrestling mats. Well, bleachers are filled with people. Let's take everybody, and now you're on 2 wrestling mats. And then we put you on 1 wrestling mat. Then you get inside the circle. Then you get close to the little circle. Then you get really close. Then inside that little circle, only about 8 wrestlers can fit. Then you're on the yellow or the green line, and your opponent's on the red line. So now you used to be just one of the kids in that big gym, and then you close the gap and you narrow it in. Now you're always one of those guys that's in the conversation, that's on the mat, and positioning can do that for you. Number 3, you definitely want to attack the, when I was in college, John Smith called it the emotional toughness. We talk about mental toughness all the time, right? And you know, backing up, we always talk too much about pushing ourselves mentally and physically, but how about pushing yourself technically? I guarantee you our six state freshman state finalists are unbelievable technicians. We call it being dangerous. When my brother and I were kids, we used to tape all of our drill routines to our wall. We drill almost every day, and we used to have a saying that we wanted to be dangerous. And that's the reason we, I think, made it out of a little town in Wentzville, Missouri, and made it to Oklahoma State. And he went to Nebraska, was NCAA champ, and I was All-American. He went on to make the world team. So I think that all comes down to technique. So I think there's so much of a push to be tough and just push yourself physically and mentally, and that's important too. But no one talks about pushing themselves technically. And when I got to Oklahoma State, that's one thing that seemed to be, they didn't use that phrase, but that was a theme as far as, we wanted to be great in all positions. So keep that in mind. But as far as wrestling, you definitely have to have a small drill routine, which is, about almost 3 pages of drill techniques. At least that's our plan. And you want to focus on positioning so you can be in the match with everybody in America. Number 3, as far as the mental side of wrestling or the emotional side of wrestling, that's a hard part to deal with in any endeavor, especially in individual sport. So I would recommend to our kids, I'm on them nonstop. Go to YouTube, listen to Cale Sanderson, listen to the top college greats, listen to Tom Brands and Tom Bryan and John Smith and these Olympians. They give interviews. They're giving their secrets away. But you don't pay attention, right? You think, oh, I'll outgrow this. No, you're not. If you want to make the state finals as a freshman, you have to have the emotional side of this deal together, right? And it's something that you have to. It's daily, almost daily. You need to drill your best 3 setups to your best leg attack daily, or you'll lose it. You need to. It's like taking a bath. You should be spending 30 minutes a day listening to YouTube, and it's not just those athletes. Look at peak performance talks. Look at dealing with performance anxiety. I mean, you can go. There's a whole host of things on YouTube, and it's free, so there's no excuse not to do it. So I would say that's number 3 is immerse yourself. So you have tools in your toolbox to deal with anxiety of wrestling. And as far as number 4 is concerned, it's personal evaluation. You have to decide, how do I win? You look at someone like Jordan Burroughs. Jordan Burroughs doesn't wrestle ear to ear in a collar tie, right? Because he knows he's better off out here, forehead to forehead or farther away. And he's developed so many tricks to getting to his fast double leg attack, right? But I mean, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch the Olympians or the world champions or the NCAA champions or, the Iranians and Cubans, and some of those people have won a couple of Olympic titles, or even just watch a great, even the best high school kids who are, being recruited by these top colleges. They take time to say, okay, wrestling's big. I made wrestling small. From my small drill plan, I need to stay here. And the college guys always say this on the interviews and stuff. If you watch, they say, I need to stay in my positions where I'm good. There you go. Do you know where you're good and where you're not good? People always say work on your weaknesses, and that's true, but there are some things that you should avoid. If you're not a powerful kid, you want to avoid wrestling in the kind of power positions. If you're short and powerful and you have a gas tank and that's your style of wrestling, you're going to be a pusher and a puller and a collar tie guy, and that's fine too. I always say this. If Tom Brands wrestled like John Smith and John Smith wrestled like Tom Brands, they probably wouldn't have been Olympic champs, but they each found out where they were good and they stayed in their lane and they honed that skill. So to get great at wrestling, your wrestling should get smaller. In fact, I would say that if you're a very quick wrestler, like, very explosive, and you want to wrestle from some distance, which is probably what you need to do, your underhook in your technique notebook, your over-under chest-to-chest page, your ear-to-ear collar tie, your Russian 2-on-1, that page in your notebook. Take it and tear it off and throw it in the trash. You're not going to wrestle on a Russian 2-on-1, right? But there's Olympians and college national champs all the time that do. So you need to spend that personal evaluation time honing your own skills and your own craft. But that's got to come after you have a world-class set of drill routines that you've hit thousands of times, because you might not really have the education to know even enough about the sport to be able to evaluate yourself. But I think that's the fourth leg, and I think that's some of the secrets to the success that our kids have had at PurlerWrestling.com and our academy. You can see more on our YouTube channel or also at PurlerWrestling.com, Purler Wrestling.com. We have a brand new 15,000 square foot training center just outside of St. Louis on 10 acres. And, 2 weeks ago we had 107 kids at our weekend camps. We do camps year-round. They're flying in from Wyoming, Nevada, you name it. So if you have interest, you can check us out. Otherwise, keep looking at our videos, and I'm just putting these out there to help everyone. Hopefully this one did that for you.